UFC 314 is just around the corner. And with the former featherweight champion in Ilia El Matador Topuria vacating his 145-pound title to chase greatness at the 155-pound division, the door has now swung right open for new possibilities in the featherweight landscape. That brings us to the highly anticipated main event between Diego Lopez versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski for the now vacant featherweight championship of the world. And look, this matchup ain't just about the belt anymore. It's about legacy, momentum, as well as whether or not the next generation can finally surpass the old guard. And now, in this video, I wanted to take some time to recap, break down, as well as analyze how this electrifying fight between these two elite warriors is most likely going to play out, and try to answer the daunting question that's been on everyone's minds. Can Alexander Volkanovski survive the storm and potentially defeat the surging Diego Lopez? Or will Lopez prove that the former pound-for-pound king is just a relic from the past in the way of new-found greatness? And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 2,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look. This is why I believe that Diego Lopez will beat Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 314. And look, let's be clear, this ain't no random hate toward Alexander the Great. I mean, I've got a humongous amount of respect for Volkanovski and think that the cat's not only a legend, an all-time great, as well as a pound-for-pound all-timer. I mean, we're talking about the featherweight titan who's beaten the who's who of his division. And his fighting style, along with his elite fight and battle IQ, is some of the best we've ever seen in the game. But here's the thing. Styles make fights, and even more than that, trajectories make fights. And right now, the trajectory is undeniable. And Diego Lopez is doing nothing more than just skyrocketing, where Volkanovski, on the other hand, is sort of doing the opposite. I mean, when you look at it, Lopez is coming in with some serious heat, momentum, as well as hunger, where for Alexander the Great, well, he's sort of carrying the weight of father time as well as damage. And that's kind of a dangerous place to be in for the former featherweight king. But hold up real quick, let's talk about Diego Lopez, because this catch just had one of the best years in UFC history, and I say that with zero exaggeration. I mean, 2024 was quite literally his year. At UFC 300, he flatlined stiffened Sadiq Youssef in under 2 minutes, adding a brutal highlight reel to his already growing resume. Then at UFC 303, he took out Dan 50K Ige on 4 hours short notice after 3 back-to-back consecutive weight cuts. Like, what? And then at UFC 307, he took out Brian Ortega, even flash KOing him in the first 30 seconds of the first round. Y'all, that's 3 high-level wins in a single freaking year. And look, it's not like Lopez is just squeaking by with decisions or anything, too. He's making statements every time he steps into the octagon. And his growth, his confidence, as well as his skill sets are all peaking at the perfect moment. And, you know, it's just something you can't deny at the end of the day. Now, let's flip it to Alexander the Great Volkanovski. And, you know, Volk is 36 years of age and does turn 37 in September. And while it ain't ancient, it's right around the danger zone for the lighter weight classes. I mean, we're talking about, the speed starts to fade, the reflexes slow down a bit, and most importantly, the chin becomes a liability. And I think it's safe to say that we've kind of already seen it start to take effect in a way. And, while I do hate to be the bearer of bad news, Alexander Volkanovski's last 2 fights were both ended in brutal knockout finishes, and not on his part. Islam Makhachev, who isn't even known for his knockout power, slept him. And then 4 months later, Ilia Topuria, the monster he is, put him out cold as well. 2 back-to-back KO losses kind of does something to a fighter. And, not just physically, where your chin doesn't recover the same way, but also mentally as well. And while, yeah, we all know Volk to be this fearless warrior who's always stepping up to the plate and, always willing to leap into the fire or whatnot, but when you've been knocked out not only once, but twice in a row, that fearless edge kind of starts to dull. You start to hesitate, you start to second guess yourself, and against a guy like Diego Lopez, who comes out aggressive and carries out some serious knockout ability, that hesitation can mean the end of a fight, just like that. But look, on the contrary, Volk's experience is 1000% undeniable. And, he's gone the full 5 rounds countless times. And, on paper, he should be the more complete fighter. He's got his crisp boxing, excellent kicks, fantastic takedown defense, as well as his elite offensive wrestling. We're talking about the cat who's been at the peak of the mountaintop and has defended his belt against the best of the best. But none of that matters if your body can't keep up with your mind. And none of that matters if your chin has already been compromised. And let's not pretend that Diego Lopez doesn't have the skills he needs in order to exploit those glaring weaknesses. The fact of the matter is that Diego Lopez has some serious knockout ability, and on top of that, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is top tier. He's a black belt with some slick submission skills that I believe can be used against Alexander the Great on the ground if the opportunity presents itself. But what I think really makes this dangerous for Volkanovski is Diego Lopez's fighting style. He's not gonna stand back and start downloading data like Ilia El Matador did in their first fight, which ultimately led to Volk taking that first round. Lopez is gonna be in Volk's face from the opening bell, and with his aggressive, his versatile and chaotic approach, I think he's gonna give Volk a really hard time. And Volk, for all of his greatness, has always had the tendency to get into these, for lack of a better term, car crashes with his opponents. The difference being that most of his past opponents didn't have the power necessary in order to make him pay for it. Max Blessed, Yair Rodriguez, TKZ, and Brian Ortega. None of them had the kind of fight-ending nuclear KO ability that Diego Lopez brings to the table. Even Makhachev, a dominant fighter in his own right, ain't even a KO artist for real, and was still able to find Volk's chin and put him straight to sleep. Even though it was on 8 days short notice, but your anatomy can't really tell the difference. And when you really take the time to think about it, when you look at Diego Lopez's explosiveness, it's kind of hard not to see a path to victory for Lopez that just feels almost inevitable. And then there's his mindset as well as his hunger. Going into this fight, Lopez is the hungry lion here. He's the guy climbing up the mountain full of fire, confidence, and nothing to lose. Volkanovski, on the other hand, is, the veteran trying to hold on to his peak, battling Father Time as well as the ghost of his recent knockouts. That being said, that's kind of a hard place to fight from. It ain't impossible, sure. There could be a world where Volk fights smart, cautious, plays that type of game, stays at range, uses his jab as well as his kicks, and, mixes in his wrestling to slow Lopez down. But let's be real right now. How many times have we seen Alexander Volkanovski stay out of a firefight? He quite literally thrives in the scrap. But this time around, the scrap favors Diego Lopez. Lopez is the younger, the fresher, the more explosive fighter with all the momentum that almost feels unstoppable. In the end though, I believe that this fight comes down to timing, trajectory, as well as styles. Diego Lopez is the aggressive, high-pressure finisher with sharp, explosive striking and a dangerous as well as opportunistic submission game that makes him a constant threat in every position. He thrives in the who knows what, pushes a relentless pace and hunts for the finish from the opening bell with, his brutal knockout power as well as his sneaky submission game to bat. Alexander Volkanovski, on the other hand, is the more technical fighter with, the high fight IQ, the crisper boxing, excellent distance control, and world-class takedown defense. But then again, at 36 years of age, pushing 37, and coming off of 2 back-to-back KO finishes. I believe that his durability as well as his speed are all starting to fade. And while Volk's experience and his skill set can keep him competitive early, I believe that Diego Lopez's momentum, his youth, as well as his finishing ability will ultimately overwhelm the former pound-for-pound king, dragging Alexander the Great into those wild exchanges where Lopez's power and his aggression will ultimately secure him a statement-making second to third round KO or TKO finish, making Diego Lopez the new undisputed featherweight champion of the world. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your guys' thoughts on UFC 314's main event, Diego Lopez versus Alexander the Great Volkanovski? And do you guys think Diego Lopez's youth as well as his momentum plus his trajectory will be able to aid him in defeating the Great? Or do you think Alexander's experience, his fight IQ, as well as his well-rounded fighting style and, skill set will be able to edge it out to the scorecards against Diego Lopez? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.